In today's video, we'll be taking a look at the brand new perk that came with Season 5, which is none other than Death Perception. I'll be going over each one of these tiers and trying to explain to you my experience using this perk and how, in my opinion, it is probably one of the top tier perks that we have in Cold War, surprisingly. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to hitting 30,000 subscribers and we are less than 300 subscribers away from 26,000. So thank you all so much in advance. This really does help out the YouTube channel and just motivates me to keep going. So again, just have to thank you all so much, and also be sure to drop a like on the video. Can we aim for 150 likes on this one? If we could do that, that would be pretty epic. So straight off the bat, the base version of this perk is basically it outlines zombies through walls. You might think that this is very unnecessary if you haven't used this perk yet, and if you have, you might have noticed that this is actually pretty useful. So this perk is very concentrated on the outbreak side of things, but quickly taking a look at things like round-based maps, I actually found this to be pretty useful in situations like, for example, on top of Penthouse or on top of Knockdown Totem on Die Maschine. Knowing where the zombies are coming from is actually pretty useful, because most of the time, obviously, you can see the zombies, but everything kind of always blends in. And seeing this bright orangish red outline of the zombies to know which direction or where they're coming from, especially with the dog rounds, because sometimes on top of Knocked, for example, the dogs can spawn on your left side or in other situations. And on Mauerder Totem, it's also pretty useful, and even on Firebase Z in these camping situations. Aside from that, I don't think this outline of zombies is useful on round-based maps. It's definitely nice to know if, for example, you're nearing the end of a round, if you're in high rounding or things like that. But on Outbreak, I think this is definitely extremely useful with one of the objectives, and that is holdouts. I found this to be actually really helpful to make holdouts way easier to know exactly where your enemies are coming from. If you don't know, holdouts are probably one of the worst things about Outbreak. They're one of the worst objectives, and I know there's like a new one. I haven't tested it out yet. I think it's also pretty bad, but Death Perception will make your holdout rounds definitely far more safer and more kind of understanding of where your enemies will be coming from. Now, taking a quick look at the tiers, the first one is minimap update rate is increased. This is definitely pretty useful and pretty cool, but I don't really use it that much. It definitely does let me know where the zombies are around me faster, and lets me know, for example, if other things around me I should know about way quicker, but I don't think I need a faster UAV on zombies all that much. Now, the minimap is definitely helpful, as I said, on Outbreak specifically, to know where your zombies are, on round-based maps even, to know which direction they're coming from, and it's something nice, but these first tiers are definitely kind of on the lower side of things. Taking a quick look at tier 2, it says enemies give danger indicators when behind a player. I honestly forgot about this because the danger indicators are kind of not that easy to spot. They're this white triangle that are around you when, for example, you run past a zombie or you're relatively close to a large group of them, or just in general zombies around you. Now, it does say behind a player, but I found this to be on your left side and your right side. It's just in general around the areas where you can't normally see unless you have a high FOV. So if you're a player that plays with a pretty low FOV, this will definitely be useful to you if you can spot the kind of nearly transparent white triangles around you. But aside from that, I don't really find any use from these first two tiers. From tier 3, this perk, in my opinion, becomes top tier. Oh, that sounded weird. It basically becomes amazing. So tier 3 says gain 20% more looted salvage and high grade salvage. Now, I've heard complaints about this, that you get, oh, instead of the 10 blue, you get 20. Yes, instead of 10 blue, you get 20. That is a huge boost. So basically, the zombies will be dropping the salvage at a normal rate. That doesn't get increased unless obviously you use specific attachments on your weapons. But once you pick up the salvage, you will no longer be getting 50 of the green or 10 of the blue, but you will be getting a bit of odd numbers that are definitely higher than 50 and 10. Honestly, this makes a huge difference, especially for example, high rounding Outbreak. This is huge. Or if you're trying to do the Easter egg like the Legion boss fight or even the Orda boss fight, obviously you'd want to have the highest rarity of loot, and this does come in clutch a lot of situations because you could basically get gold rarity pretty fast. Looking at normal round-based maps, if you want to purchase, let's say, the War Machine, you will definitely have a huge increase of salvage if you have this tier unlocked, and this is probably one of my favorite things about it. This becomes a must-have perk most of the time when I spawn in now. It's definitely one of my first, because upgrading your weapons as fast as possible to the highest rarity is very important in my opinion in Cold War zombies. Looking at tier 4 is another very interesting thing. Increased armor penetration damage by 25%. 25%. Now this is something that I was instantly interested in when I first heard of, because I was like, you say 25% increased damage to armor. Obviously that'll come in use in high rounding on Outbreak because there's an increased amount of armored zombies, which this is very useful on, and also on round based maps. But will this speed up the Legion boss fight? Because if you don't know, the stage where you have to basically like make the orbs pop out of Legion, that's an armor thing. So basically you shoot his armor. And I hopped into a game with Death Perception and I got a timer of 6 minutes and 9 seconds left, exactly on the dot as I destroyed the last orb. I compared this gameplay to gameplay that I had in the past where I also used the similar weapon, which was the MP63 I should have also specified, which is an amazing weapon for a Legion boss fight if you didn't know. And I got 6 minutes and 9 seconds as well. So this does have something to do with me taking a bit longer on the first go. There were a little bit of mishaps, and I think the first go, obviously the one where I didn't use Death Perception, could have been the longer one, and I didn't really get into any sticky situations, only had to purchase my ammo or even shoot the zombies in some cases using AMP63s with Death Perception. So this definitely is useful on the Legion boss fight, and I'm pretty sure it will be also useful on the Valentina boss fight, but that's not as difficult. So Death Perception is just another reason why it's a must-have for high rounding to take out the armored zombies, but it's also a must-have to take out the Legion's armor. I will be doing more tests in the future with this, but this is just a quick review, and yes, this does work on Legion. And lastly, tier 5 nearby chests, resources, and item drops are keylined through walls. This one is once again actually surprisingly very useful, because unfortunately this would only be useful on Outbreak because you just really have chests and resources most of the time on Outbreak, but things like finding the chests themselves is actually pretty effective and now easier to find as they're outlined with a purple outline. And on top of this, you can actually also tell which ones are the mimic ones, since the mimic ones would be outlined with a different color. I'm pretty sure there were, I haven't found a mimic chest yet. This also does outline intel, so if you're a person who hunts for intel around Outbreak or things like that, it's outlined with a yellow kind of thing. If you look through a wall, this outlines essence. And lastly, probably one of the coolest ones is the ether crystal kind of objective. Don't remember the actual name of it. I think it's Fury Crystal objective on Outbreak. This time it outlines the crystals and makes this whole thing so much easier. Honestly, having Death Perception tier 5 and doing the Fury Crystals, that's what I'm going to be calling them, objective, is just out of this world easy. So in conclusion, Death Perception is actually amazing, and I'm shocked because looking at these tiers off the bat, you're probably like, I kind of use this, but once you use them in game, once you buy this perk, it's pretty useful. Even the outline of zombies, which I thought would be annoying, it's probably one of the most helpful things I've experienced in a while in Cold War. So big dub to Treyarch for actually coming up with this big brain move of introducing Death Perception. And it is sad that we don't have double tap, but honestly I think this is better. So once again, be sure to subscribe, like the video as always, and there's still plenty of videos coming out in the future of Cold War zombies and reviews like that. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I kind of made you understand Death Perception a bit better, and also maybe you can actually like it now, because I know that there's a lot of hate around it. Anyway, peace out.